The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 7. Focus as it's very important information for you. Consider it, take the appropriate steps. If you're not following, perform the changes first until they would be done, completely and forever. It's advised to start the full health restoration immediately. Number 3, parallel with the process. Number 2, and implement all the rest. Number 1 and number 4 / with the number 0.1 programming, obligatorily, now. Most people need confirmations and knowledge before they would engage into anything. It has been provided and the work has been started, the way it's supposed to, from introducing the moral stance as a core of any achievement, explaining through example, the opposite approach and all which is required to perform at your best. Then, follows all the rest. However, it's not the way it's supposed to be done, but because it's needed for a conviction, it's been left as such, although for you applies eating only organic foods, as mentioned above, so proceed with it, if not followed yet. Notice that any further changes require, absolutely programming from number 0.1, to be already introduced, in order to complete everything, as those are the best tools yet in existence, which would make you successful. It's the last warning. 7. Genetically engineered. Stop right now and apply. At the present moment there is a very real threat of your death due to consumption of GE7 foods, which components are secretly included in nearly all of the currently processed foods, meats and drinks, also being extended to non-organic fruits and vegetables. If they might not kill you instantly, they're causing a constant damage to your body, which is never felt when the organism is in relative shape. It would probably cause your death, as millions who were covertly killed already due to the diseases that seemed natural. The danger is real and very serious. Therefore, introduce the full health restoration. Number 3 immediately / start from number 3.1 to allow yourself time to switch on safe foods. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 8. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 9. The foundations of your new moral philosophy. Before you would engage in any process of change, you need to sort things on a metaphysical level, as they would interfere it or even block any attainment. You need to be completely clean on the level of thoughts, hold no resentment, let go of any non-attached to the goal issues. You need also to have a set of instructions on how to act towards others and how the rewarding and punishing mechanisms work. All in order to establish your new way of successful living, which would provide you the required foundations for any progress and development. It all goes through the understanding and forcing yourself to act along the laws which operate in this reality, until your actions and patterns of thought won't become your true nature. 1.01 Things to remember. Keep in mind that knowing isn't enough. You need to build those characteristics as a pattern of your automated daily responses. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 10. 1.1 Moral laws, rewards and punishments for breaking intents of the Creator. This realm has a purpose and invisible laws which enforce goals for it. Based on their following, you would either have a fulfilled, happy life or suffer the consequences of breaking them, which would lead to your decay and death. 1.11 Moral field and parasitic philosophy. Every living person is subjected to the work of the invisible laws which govern your fate and all other aspects of your life, including success, happiness, fulfillment, circumstances, well-being, prosperity and all the remaining. The last are highly connected and bond with the moral field, which stands for the core of any achievement. Each one of us has a metaphysical value of this energy accumulated within him, that remains hidden behind the eyes, however, which is felt or able to be distinguished, based on the physical and psychical traits. It would be marked later in the text as micro and can be pictured as an invisible battery which everyone holds, like on the image below. The great majority of people / you, although without the knowledge of moral field, for nearly all your life, constantly have the volume of micro 0.4, never reaching any other states of the soul as such, to be experienced, with the drop commonly occurring after finishing of your active years. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 11. Level of moral energy, micro. Consequences. Nirvana, godlike feeling, micro greater than 0.6, high beyond belief. State characterized by a feeling of an unimaginable happiness and power / beyond everything that you can comprehend, summed up together. The intensity of it, which is reached on this value of moral energy, can't be told or explained, as it's universe beyond what is to be experienced in yours whole life or you're capable to grab with your senses. It can be summed metaphorically as being crushed by the ocean of all the happiness existing, that is released in a split second and which could last forever. It's the ultimate prize from the universal intellect, God, for living up to the means He has set in this reality, being a feeling of a godlike power, extreme happiness and love extended by many more, and the one, which not even shade of, can be experienced through the usage of substances like alcohol, in high dosages, or a much more stronger drugs. 8 / that is Holy Grail. It's the feeling everybody strives for and would give everything he has, to be permanently in. The last brings also untold other benefits. Adoration, micro greater than 0.5, feel good. Those on this state are adored by others and attract them to themselves. They're greeted with sympathy of everyone around and it's shared back. They have a feeling of an ever-increasing happiness in their life, their sense of fulfillment is heightening and they're filled with happiness. Friendliness, micro greater than 0.35, feel normal. Considered friendly, they're nice, helpful, oriented in a positive manner towards the world. Focused on their lives, they put favorable contribution to the society. They're accompanied by laugh and moments of joy. Their life can be described as happy. Being unnoticeable, micro equals 0.35. This is a boundary state between the moral philosophy and a parasitic one. People usually are very silent, not to be seen or noticed by others. Provocativeness, micro 0.35, feel little depressed, false confidence. Marked as provocative and hard to live with. They don't have problems with doing everyday tasks. If they wish, they can be nice to others, although they tend to blast with emotions. Characterized as despotic, not respecting opinions, implying their will, uncompromising, competing for gaining advantage over others, blackmail, usage of force, violence, double-dealing, etc. All those immoral actions are harmful. 9 to them. Malaise, lethargy, inertia, micro 0.2, feel depressed, empty. People on this state start to do everything disproportionately complicated and practically impossible for them becomes the completion of any work. The consequences of their words are never actions. They start to lead an unproductive, parasitic and causing anxiety to others' lifestyle. They live at the expense of others. States of deep depression and lack of interest in their person are also present, which in most instances may lead to a spectacular suicides, for example public mutilation of themselves, although auto-destruction attempts are taken only in the face of a certainty that the help would be served by other people who would not let them to die. Destructiveness, micro 0.1, you don't feel at all, immense sense of emptiness. People who reached this state are dangerous for themselves and for the society. They're accompanied by suicidal thoughts, which in opposition to the state of malaise, are focused on ending their life. Additionally, they become victims of various causing destruction addictions, deviations, etc. Their psyche is unbalanced and alienated. Not only they live in a state of chronic depression, but also are characterized by an aggressive and unpleasant to others way of acting. Those people are very dangerous, due to the tendency to realize any destructive idea / act that would be passed off to them. 8. The last, in practice, resemble up to 0.01% intensity of the 100% that is experienced in this state / being limited to not even a breath of the single sensation, power for instance, dependent on the type of a drug. 9 people from this state to all the below, in order to supplement their deficits of this energy, they start to practice moral vampirism, which would be explained later. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 12. Death, through moral suffocation, micro equals 0. You die, slowly, in a terrible agony. This process occurs independently. People on the low amount of moral energy aren't able to perform any action to bring upon them death / therefore other people are used or accidents caused. It's a very non-pleasurable way of dying, as it leaves for those people who know the person an unpleasant 10 memories. Such units are characterized by the moral vampirism, which has a goal to extend their moment of agony, extreme physical or mental suffering, difficult or painful death. The last comes after, under the form of a usually random event, which might be a car crash, falling from the window, drowning, freezing in a winter, burning in a fire, yet also a bacteria, virus / disease or a health condition, and it only sometimes brings a form of the meaningful death / that is suicide. If you seek people 11 with nirvana, look for the newborns. Moral field 12 they're surrounded by is powerful as it's the natural state. Notice the attraction caused. Anything below nirvana is low. 10 Death can come also at higher states of the moral field, if only the person resigned from development and refused to play this game. Number 1.11 XF / failing many attempts to turn him from the wrong, undesired for him, track. 11 Animals are also born in nirvana / look for instance for all those small, little cute kittens, dogs, etc. 12 Moral energy is described the best as power / that is its alternative name. Those who have it are the ones truly powerful. Those who are stripped out of it are referred to as powerless. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 13. Below characteristics allow you to identify and recognize those who felt below micro 0.35. Look and behavior aimed on gaining and attracting attention. The less moral energy, micro, you have, the more energy you put into attracting the attention of others. Shocking look and behavior becomes a goal in itself. A warning signs might be, hair painted in a non-typical color, for example blue or green, beard, mustache, if the religion not forbids its shaving, earrings in tongue or ears, the last, specifically in men's case, controversial tattoo, eye-catching colors, attractant focus by clothes or any other way of gaining others' attention. It's also valid to the negative behavior that is causing problems, the necessity to be always in the center of attention. Those with high moral energy attract interest of others, in a natural way, due to their powerful field by which they're surrounded, also losing interest in gaining anybody's attention. Procrastination. Not do anything until somebody would force you to / interesting phenomena, which is attached to it, is a common search for the justification of your actions, in order to not feel guilty for delaying realization of the tasks. Later however never comes. Procrastination never solves any problems, but only generates them. Aggression, hot temper, anger, caprices and other evidential on the supremacy of emotions. Overthinking includes also lack of control over emotions. Your lower amounts of moral energy, micro, cause a higher tendency to cause conflict, battles, also the physical ones, attacking of others or to take actions which bring relief to the accumulated emotions and aggression. You're as such easily upset, everything irritates you, and you blow with anger, show temper and inclinations to oppress others. Indecisiveness. When you have a low amount of moral energy, you aren't able to choose from things which can bring you more benefit. You often change once made decision or delay it, counting on somebody's suggestion, as in the event, if something goes wrong, blame this person, etc. In effect, It indulges a habit of procrastinating with every decision as long as it's possible, changing your mind and avoiding to take the final stance. Decisiveness is crucial to create any success. Therefore, if you can't mind up your mind due to the low level of moral energy, cooperation becomes impossible. The level of complexity and ambiguity. When you're low in this energy, you act in an incomprehensible and illogical manner. Your expressions are characterized by complexity and you never express outright. Such ambiguity and complexity relates also to your relationships, connections, and is noticeable when working with you. It's hard to get clear of what is wanted and how to get it. As you're non-systematic, it disallows any progress or finding any common ground for any achievement. Using and exploiting others. Increased tendency to turn others into your slaves, using them also to perform your work. In the beginning of this stage, its first signal is constant asking of others for help. In end, all you undertake leads to a catastrophe. Unbearable behavior, including the tendency to short-lived enthusiasm. You're inconsistent in your intentions, views, relationships, decisions, etc. This affects all aspects of your life, not only in the emotional sphere or a sexual life. It's characterized by your troublesome behavior. Any cooperation with you is either forced on many obstacles and in time progresses to being impossible, not worth the time to lose on. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever. 14. Noisiness. Empty vessel makes the most noise / the less moral energy you have, the more noise you produce, the louder you speak, the more people are engaged in what's done, the more you announce your achievements, the more sources of noise are activated. Noisiness is a potent warning sign for trouble. Your low moral energy levels are equal to that is problems, failed investments and all the others, undesired, being extended also to institutions etc. Sarcasm. Aiming to cause harm in other people, creates a misery without the consequences of such act. It might be evident for such you, to mark for the weakest spots in other people, usually the weaker, in order to do harm upon them. Hypocrisy is based on the gap between of what's said and what's done, words that are said in person and beyond the back, words and the reality. In you, a person with the lower moral energy levels, it's noticeable that the both usually never match, as different is done, the reality, and told, to the others. Destructive addictions and deviations. You, with the lower morality, moral energy, is often trapped into addictions and / or deviations, the practices which harm you, by the drop of your moral energy, drugs / pharmaceuticals which increase the release of it, lead to even higher deficits. Through your immoral actions, you're severely punished by the invisible laws. Moral energy is the key to success, understanding, performing and happiness in life. It's responsible for the effects you're able to get in your life and it's directly connected with the amount of free will you have. In this world, there are only two types of people and they're only connected to the value of moral energy. Everybody / you represent one of them and it either requires a conscious effort or to follow the nature. The first brings all the best, construction, life. The last, all the worst, destruction, death. Share this document now with others, preserve it, by saving on various memory cards, devices. Burn it on CD / DVD and / or print, hide it to keep forever in circulation, if you haven't done it already. It needs to be dealt immediately, as if you procrastinate, you might one time lose the access to it, forever, as people representing the parasitic / overrun by nature mentality, would very probably want to destroy it, remove or at best, keep only for themselves. As it happened many times in the past, books were burned, to keep the people powerless. Save it and secure it, immediately, now. Your action is required at this moment and do it for yourself only. The most important knowledge you would ever read, implement and live up to forever.